Today, we're stepping away from the known and peering right into the shadows. We're going to look at three terrifying mysteries where the trail of evidence just goes cold, and science, for all its power, simply has no answer.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Look, we rely on science to light up the world, right? To give us rules and reasons for why things happen. But what about when the facts just don't add up? This is about those moments, those chilling gaps in our understanding where our knowledge of the world just stops.
So, our first case file takes us to a desolate, frozen landscape. We're talking the Ural Mountains back in 1959, and the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident. Now, you have to understand, these weren't amateurs. They were expert hikers, totally prepared for the brutal conditions of a Russian winter. This was supposed to be a tough but pretty routine expedition. Instead, it became one of the most disturbing and flat-out weird mysteries of the 20th century. When the search party finally found their campsite, the scene was just baffling. The timeline they managed to piece together made zero logical sense. The tent was empty, sure, but the real horror was in how they'd left it. And this is where it gets really strange, because every piece of evidence contradicts the last. I mean, why would experienced hikers slash their tent open from the inside just to run out into a blizzard without coats or shoes? And how did they end up with these devastating internal injuries? We're talking crushed ribs, fractured skulls, like they'd been in a high-speed car crash, but with no external wounds, no bruises, no cuts. And then, get this, some of their clothes were highly radioactive. There were no signs of a fight, no animal tracks, just them. Faced with this completely impossible set of facts, the official investigation came back with this ridiculously vague explanation: a compelling natural force. That's it. That's the official cause of death. It's a phrase that explains absolutely nothing. And because of that, it only makes the mystery deeper, hinting at something way beyond our normal understanding. So we're just left with this vacuum where facts should be, and it's filled with nothing but theories. I mean, people have suggested everything from a rare type of avalanche to secret Soviet weapons tests, and yeah, even a run-in with something not of this world. Whatever it was, it left 9 bodies and a terrifying question mark, frozen in time. All right, let's move on to our next case file. We're going to leave the frozen mountains of Earth behind and travel deep into space, to a time we might have gotten a message from the stars. You know, for decades, scientists have been on this profound quest, right? Pointing these huge radio telescopes at the sky and just listening for any pattern, any signal that proves we aren't alone out here. It's a very, very quiet job most of the time. But on the night of August 15th, 1977, for just 72 seconds, that cosmic silence was completely shattered by something extraordinary. A radio telescope in Ohio picked up this continuous, powerful, and perfectly tuned signal coming from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation. The thing is, this signal had every single hallmark of an intelligently made broadcast. It was exactly what scientists had been hoping to find for years. The astronomer on duty that night, Jerry Amen, was just routinely reviewing the data pronounced when he saw it. This perfect, structured spike in the cosmic noise. He was so stunned, so completely floored by what he was looking at, that he just grabbed a red pen, circled the anomaly, and wrote one single word in the margin: wow. And here's the real mystery. We have pointed our most powerful telescopes back at that exact same spot in the sky thousands of times since 1977. And you know what we've heard? Nothing. Just total and absolute silence. So what was it? A brief, targeted hello? A technological beacon that just happened to sweep past Earth for a moment? Or was it just some bizarre cosmic fluke we'll never be able to explain? For our final case, we're going to do a complete 180. We're plunging from the vast, silent emptiness of space into the crushing, unexplored darkness of our own planet's oceans. It is a staggering thought, but it's totally true. The deepest parts of our oceans are less explored than parts of our solar system. And back in 1997, hydrophones listening in that darkness picked up a sound that by all accounts should not exist. Researchers at NOAA, that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they recorded this bizarre, ultra-low frequency sound. They gave it a pretty simple nickname, the bloop. And what made it so startling wasn't just how weird it sounded, but its sheer, unbelievable power. See, this wasn't some localized noise. The bloop was detected by underwater sensors spread across more than 3,000 miles of the Pacific Ocean, all at the same time.
For a sound to travel that far underwater, its source would have to be generating an almost unimaginable amount of energy.
And here is the single most terrifying part of this whole mystery. When scientists analyzed the audio profile of the sound, they found that it was consistent with the vocalizations of a living creature. But, and this is a huge but, the loudest animal we know of is the blue whale. To create the bloop, this thing would need to be many, many times larger.
Now, the official NOAA explanation these days is a type of ice quake, a massive iceberg cracking apart. And while that's plausible, the sound's distinctly biological profile has left a lot of people unconvinced. It just leaves that chilling question hanging in the water. Even if it wasn't a creature this time, could something of that impossible size actually be hiding down there in the dark? So, after a journey from a frozen mountain to the depths of space and then down to the bottom of the ocean, we are left right back where we started, with way more questions than answers. What in the world was that horrific force that killed those 9 hikers? A force we still can't identify almost 70 years later.
Who or what sent that perfect 72-second hello from the cosmos, only to vanish forever? And what sound from our own uncharted oceans points to a life form of impossible scale, a creature that would absolutely dwarf anything known to science or even in the fossil record? Ultimately, these events are a pretty stark reminder that for all of our progress, our map of reality still has these massive blank spots on it, basically labeled, "Here be dragons." They show us that the world and the universe around it is still far more mysterious and maybe just a little more terrifying than we can possibly imagine.